This marks the third part of this manhwa. If you haven't viewed the previous parts, you can access it by clicking the I button located above, or the link is provided in description. Let's aim for 200 likes on today's video. To show your support, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's begin our recap video for today's manhwa. After the explosion, tons of ambulances and firefighter cars appeared at the facility, with the grandma and her assistant looking more terrified than ever. The firefighters, who go in, notice Song, who is now crying over his mother's lifeless body and begging for her to wake up. The firefighters quickly assess the situation and see that the child is unarmed, yet the woman next to him has passed away completely. One of them notices something else in the distance, and later the grandma gets the news that they found another survivor, another child. It seems that Woon, or rather Kijima, has protected him from the blast, but now he is gone with only a tiny amount of ants left here. Afterwards, Song is sent to the hospital where he is given the proper treatment. The grandma watches him from a window and asks Yui, who is standing right behind her, if he is okay. He says that he's more than fine, as the ant castle project has been successfully completed and they did not incur that many casualties. Though it is still unfortunate that a few important people died. The grandma cries, wondering if it was ever worth it, and also says that she will take care of the funerals of the people who died, with Yi agreeing. But they need to do an autopsy on Jin first. Then she will be allowed to bury her. The grandma agrees but wonders where Chan is hiding now. Yui explains that since the situation has become like this, they have trapped him in a deep underground facility on the outskirts of Seoul. Grandma is shocked by this. How can they do something like this to a 5-year-old child? Yui says that he let go of his humanity with his actions. He is too dangerous and will probably be kept alive only out of courtesy. The grandma tries to search for a person to blame for all of this mess, but she comes to the conclusion that she is the only one who deserves the blame. So she says that she is done with the Ant Castle project for good. She will only help them catch monsters, not create them. She also offers Yui a job since he must be unemployed right now, but Yui refuses as Gashi assistant. He now has the responsibility to observe everything in his stead so that nothing goes wrong. He will go into the underground facility too and take care of everything, so she shouldn't worry about it. Afterwards, the grandma buries the dead with Song, who is right beside her, asking if he's all alone now. She tells him that he doesn't need to worry his tiny head about that, as she will live with him from now on, so he does not need to be sad. Back at the company, the assistant is sad that the era of the gold pearl has finally come to an end, but instead of closing down, the grandma gives him the company. She will only be getting the title of founder, as she wants to retire and take care of the only grandson she has left. That is how the bug reapers came into existence. But she apologizes if this was too much. Pyo says that it's fine, as he never expected such a story to exist, and the branch leader cries her eyes out under her hood. But Song remains silent. Pyo finally gets why Kijima is rummaging around every cell. He's looking for Chan, but where is he kept captive now? The grandma notes that she came here specifically to answer that question, or rather to deny them any answer, as nothing will change if they get that information. Will they just start experimenting on him? Pyo tells her that they have no such thoughts. But the grandma tells them to listen to the wise words of an old woman. Sometimes things are best kept locked up far away so that nobody will suffer because of them. Pyo says that just letting things slip through his fingers like this is not his style at all. If they keep ignoring Kijima's advances, the entire Bug Reaper Association will be utterly destroyed. The grandma says that there is no other way, unfortunately. But that's when Misong says that he will do it, with the grandma being surprised. But the branch leader asks if he really plans on getting rid of his brother with his own hands. Song says that it's not that he can get rid of his ability, as he has previously healed artificial inspectors back into humans. So if he can find out how to make the ants eat the inspector genes in Chan's body, he can save him, he's sure of it. Red and Eugene continue to wait outside of the Bug Reaper facility, with Red becoming increasingly bored at waiting for so long, so he wonders what's going on inside. Is Song getting tortured or something perhaps? Eugene tells him to stop thinking about ominous things. All they need to do is trust him and wait for the interrogation to be over, as she is sure that Guy will find a way out of this. Suddenly, a strange-looking man appears in front of the facility. Annoyed that he has to work overtime again, he starts making some bubbles with his fingers, noting that he wants to finish this early. But that's when Eugene finally remembers who he is, Hexagon. He blows the bubbles towards the facility, with the guard there being weirded out by this, but then tells him that if he can't be here and pull pranks like this, he may get fined. As soon as the guard touches one of the bubbles it pops. He feels that something is not right, and sure enough, the bubbles start to explode throughout the entire facility. With these, the two rush to fend off Hexagon, who says that he really wants to go home. Inside the facility, Song feels the presence of an insector as soon as the explosions start to happen. With alarms blaring throughout the facility, everyone being either scared or ready to fight the imminent danger, Song tells the others not to worry as the two that are there are his friends, which will do no harm. He also tells Pyo to head over to where Chan is, as he will follow after them, when he's done with the bastard that's outside. Hexagon is surprised to see these two near him without Song. Did they perhaps have a change of heart and want to join their insector cause? Eugene notes that they already refused his sorry ass, and Red asks why he's attacking here all of a sudden. Hexagon notes that he is an insector, so does he really need a reason to attack the ones who are hunting? Insector? Naturally though, he is not here just for this. He was sent to recover His Majesty's arm, Kijima's arm, and also confirm where Chan is located. Red wonders who this Chan figure is, but Eugene couldn't care less as this is not the most important thing right now. Hexagon explains that besides him, there are 6 members of his group that are hunting for him, and now they're all going around and crashing Bug Reaper facilities one by one. Eugene is surprised that they're so bold, but their actions, and Red asks if they really plan an all-out war with the humans, as that will incur a lot of casualties. Hexagon doesn't answer him and instead looks at the time as he rushed her to get this work done fast. But it seems that there are all kinds of lowlifes just waiting to stop him from going home and chilling, so they should all get lost. He releases tons of bubbles in their direction, which they dodge, but as they do that, Red notices that there are some small bombs inside of the bubbles and tells Eugene this, who can now easily take care of them and zoom away from the explosion. The Bug Reapers aren't so fortunate, and get absolutely destroyed by Hexagon, who was tired of them interfering with his plans so much they both get to him and try to end this fight with one attack. But Hexagon covers himself with bubbles and they back off as they think that these are about to explode. The newly transformed Hexagon says that they are annoying in their persistence, but from now on they won't be able to attack as there is no way for them to break through the protective bubbles. Red tells Eugene that he will take care of it so she can leave, which makes Hexagon jump directly at him and say that he cannot allow that they will both attack him, as that will save him some time. Red starts attacking him and says that he better not regret it, but Hexagon immediately goes behind him and says that he must be confused at what kind of insect he is, since he didn't scream it out like the other dumb insectors. Red tries to turn around, but he doesn't make it before Hexagon gives him a powerful kick and then continues to pummel him into the ground. He says that the more wild an insector is, the more they tend to repeat words, which does not apply to him at all. Red tells him to shut up and uses a barrier punch to hopefully deal some damage, but Hexagon blocks it with the bubbles and is quite annoyed that he interrupted him, so he kicks him in the gut. He continues, saying that he has no real insector name, but that must go for everyone as he is a red beetle because he's red and the girl above seems to be a silk moth, so he should also come up with a name for himself that will fit him perfectly. He ponders this a bit before coming up with the name Bubble. That is what he will be known as from now on. He has many abilities and talents, but he has one that's his favorite. As he says, he jumps to Eugene, who tries to fly away, but Bubble is much faster than her. He notes that this is his leap, the ability to leap over the highest mountain and skyscraper with ease, his most treasured skill, but one that also charges a power in his legs. To show her an example, he kicks Eugene straight into the ground with Red cursing at all. To discover the extent of his ability, he chose the path of a warrior, and in the human world he became an unbeatable beast that cannot be challenged. But his insector form is too weak. He thinks that it's because of his hard shell, so he starts taking it off as he does not need to be protected any longer. He is a fighter. Bubble falls to the ground and thinks that he should finish Agent off once and for all. But as soon as he kicks the ground with his charged up leg, she is nowhere to be seen and 2 small beetles start attacking Bubble, who is quite annoyed as it seems he will go home late once again. The newly transformed Red tells him that he won't be going home at all as this will be a one-round match and the loser will have to die. When he was still a fighter in the pits, Red asked Hannah if one really could become stronger by eating those weird parasites, which she confirmed was something that she made. After all, Red said that they're a bunch of dopers trying to find the easy way to gain power, but Hannah told him that he should try it, as even though the taste is not great, she can guarantee that he will get a lot of power. He told her to get lost, as he wants to become stronger on his own merit, not through shortcuts. Hannah told him that they are almost at their limits anyway. If they push harder, they will eventually go over the edge. They are now what can be classified as juveniles, and it is true that these little things are a temporary drug that gives strength without hard work. However, when his desire for power reaches the summit again, he will shed his weaknesses and emerge much stronger than ever before. That is what they call a second awakening, something that Red has achieved right now. He cannot believe that it was this easy, but Bubble notes that even though he is interesting, he is still far too weak to compete with him. Red gets into position as he says that it feels like he took off some training weights. He's lighter than ever. With that, they started their vicious fight. Eventually, Yi-Jin also wakes up, and is surprised by the light show going on in front of her, and also by the new form of Red who dodges and ducks Bubble's every attack. And even when he can't defend himself, his beetles defend him, allowing him to take the attack and actually damage Bubble. He's had enough of his insolence, so he charges up again and jumps onto Red, who instantly appears behind him with his new wings, and says that he has no chance now. He punched Bubble into the ground, who manages to get out of his grasp and say that he should not be arrogant just because he molded once. He will now show him what a truly awakened insector can do. He removes his legs and uses them to unleash countless attacks on Red, who just blocks them with the beetles as he stretches out of sheer frustration. Bubble throws one of his legs in his face, which he just grabs and says that his attacks were not worth dodging, but he better dodge his attack as he will die if he doesn't. With that, he rushes to Bubble with a wind-up punch which Bubble tries to defend himself against, but he is far too weak as Red is completely gone through his defenses and is now coughing up blood. Red tells him one more thing. Before he dies, the way he chose his name is too boring and old-fashioned. With that, Bubble blows up and Red stands victorious as he is finally ground past his limits. Yi-Jin can't believe that he actually managed to defeat that guy, but that's when Song comes around, whom she is quite glad to see, but he came too late as Red completely took care of that guy. Song tells her to get up as this is far from over. When she looks behind her, she sees an entire legion of insectors who are ready to jump them. The tired Red also sees Song and wonders what he's doing here as the match is already over, but that's when someone impales him from behind and says that he is finally awakened through his own merits. This person is none other than Hannah, who seems quite sad to see him as the legion looms over. Yi-Jin wonders what they're all doing here, as there's no way to mobilize so many insectors. But Song tells her that they are not insectors. They're actually those transformed caterpillar humans that were only considered food. Only now have they been transformed into these perverted forms. That's when a bunch of explosives start flying towards the swarm, with the bug reapers starting their attack as they have 65 combat-ready personnel ready to fight. Tae asks where their reinforcements are, but one reaper reports that not a single region is able to come help. As they are all in the same situation as them, the insector have launched a combined attack on all of their headquarters. Tae feels that they won't stand a chance against so many, but Sam suggests that they should hold as many as they possibly can in order for the others to finish moving the patient. Tae explains to everyone that the 3 insectors in front of them are allies, so except for them, they have the clearance to seize any other insector they see. With that, the bug reapers charge in with guns in hand, which makes Yi-Jin think that it would be better to let them do their job, as they have done what they could, and from the looks of it, Red is already fully passed out. Seems like his form takes a lot of energy to use. Song says that they can't do that as there are important people inside the facility, including his grandmother and Choah, who were also dragged here because of the incident. Yi-Jin can't believe that they are so caught up in this, but at this point, they have no choice but to fight and hold the line as best as they can. With that, the insectors start to attack and Yi-Jin tries to hold them off with her diamond formation. But even if they die, the insector continue to push and push without care for their well-being, and they eventually get through. But that's when the ants Song used to communicate with come and protect her. He uses his commanding abilities to summon all of the ants who help the bug reapers fight off the gigantic army of insector inside the facility. The nurse escorts Choah out of the way, but Jin looks at them as he feels that something is amiss. Eventually Choah and the nurse arrive at their location. But when the nurse opens the door, it is revealed that they're at the storage area where some workers are moving Kijima's arm. Before they can do anything, the nurse puts them to sleep with her ability and says that she has secured the object, so they should go for the other objective without worry. As the grandma group leaves, Hannah spots them and starts tailing them. As with this, they will know of Chan's location and their plan will finally be successful. The nurse transforms back into her true form, a newly awakened butterfly Seijin, and she instantly jumps at the shocked Choah and tells her that she never expected to meet her in this place, so they should leave together, as nobody can stop them. Choah asks what happened to her and Seijin notes that she transformed into something even prettier, but since it will be hard for her to explain exactly what went down to her, she will put it into simple words. Among the larvae that were used, she was special as she has a unique personality. That is why she surpassed her limits and became stronger. So with this, they no longer need to fear the power of the insects or rely on worthless humans all the time. She should come with her, as she will protect her no matter what. Choah doesn't answer but instead asks her if she's okay. As her face is completely filled with desperation before she can answer, a piece of medical equipment flies at her, but she dodges and it hits the arm container, which starts to spew out juice. Jin tells her to stop spouting nonsense about protecting others, as insectors only know how to eat other people and look out for themselves. Seijin uses her abilities to attack him while telling him to get lost as he doesn't know anything. But even in his extremely injured state, Jin can still push through her attacks like nothing and manages to also attack her first with the blade, and then with an electric attack that stuns her enough for Jin to turn around and prepare a deadly blow. Before he can do that, however, Choah jumps in front of him and apologizes for what she's doing. Seijin is quite surprised by this and Choah tells her to get what she came for and leave as she cannot bear to see her get hurt because of her actions anymore. Almost instantly, Seijin grabs Kijima's arm and gets out of the facility. Her objective has been completed but her heart is wavering. The fighting outside rages on with the bug reapers struggling to continue fighting, as they are getting increasingly tired, something that the insectors do not feel. Additionally, no matter how many times they are attacked, these insectors don't fall easily, with not even headshots being enough to fully kill them. That's when Isong teaches them how to do it, as the larva in their necks is what they need to aim for. But they shouldn't destroy them, instead, they should give them to him. As he gains power, Tae is quite disgusted by what he's doing but informs the remaining bug reapers to aim for the neck and leave the larva alive, which they all start doing. Yejin is also pushed past her limits already as she has been holding back tons of insectors from entering the fighting area, but nobody can help her as they are either fighting or protecting. Nobody has enough time to help with her defense, so eventually she cannot hold on any longer, and her defenses fall, resulting in all of the insectors pushing through. That's when tons of blue silk strings appear and she grabs each of them as Eugene has finally awakened her second form, something she only got a taste of in the past. Eventually, the group arrives at where Chan is being held, a rather simple apartment complex, with tons of friendly neighbors who are all greeting the grandma and the others warmly. She also greets them and thanks them for their hard work, but it's time for them to go home and call it a day. That's when everyone's expression changes and they bow down before leaving as they were all paid actors who were paid to do this. She tells the others to wait a bit as she goes into the center of the complex and orders her assistant to pull out his pin, which they both insert into the ground, making the center open up in a large staircase that goes deep below. She tells them to hurry up and go, and deep down below Chan tells someone that he can feel someone coming, and he just might know who it is. Somewhere else on a large mountaintop, Seijin arrives with the arm while the other insectors are feasting on various types of flesh. She bows down and presents it to Kijima, who is glad to finally have his arm back, but says that he is not satisfied with just this. So now they will all go after eating to save the one who gave him this power, the one who will lead them to the promised land. While walking down the stairs, Pyo notes that he did not expect a secret passageway to be in a normal complex like this one. But the branch leader notes that she's not really surprised. After hearing the story, the grandma apologizes for making her carry like a sack of potatoes, but the branch leader says that's fine. The grandma explains that this place is the spot where the Ant Castle Project Lab was burned to ashes. They went ahead and built the complex on top of it, and that's where her and Song started their new lives. But it's also Chan's internal prison. They eventually arrive at an elevator, and the assistant tells them to go on, as he will wait outside and meet anyone else who might come here. When they arrive at the last stop of the elevator, a much older Yui welcomes them inside, with the grandma instantly holding his hands and asking if he's been well. He notes that it's been fine since, with her infinite provisions of delicious meals, he's been able to stave off any negative thoughts. The grandma says that this is a debt she cannot repay, but he tells her that this is not important right now, as they should go see that little monster. The grandma is reluctant to see him but pushes through and finally looks at Chan, who is now much older and decrepit. Back at the Bug Reaper facility, Eugene uses her new powers to take control of the battlefield and drop the larvae from the attackers' necks like flies, with Song instantly, gobbling all of them up and gaining even more power. After he is done, he calls all of the ants back to him, which start to rampage about, but they all calm down when they feel the will of the red ant, with its influence being much bigger than expected. Mi-song thanks Eugene for her help and tells her to follow after him, but she tells him that he's dumb as she can't keep up with his speed. With that, the three leave as Eugene also drags Red along. Tae is surprised at their combined power because of them. They manage to survive. But that's when everyone notices that the insect soldiers they were fighting are turning back into humans as the larvae from their bodies are gone. The grandma sits in silence as she watches Chan, who eventually perks up and says that he missed her dearly. But why come here now? The grandma apologizes for coming so late as she cannot bear to face him most of the time. Pyo can't believe that the boy from the story grew up in such a dark place, with Chan also noticing them, specifically the blade behind Pyo's back. So he asks if they're here to kill him. The grandma instantly shuts down this notion and says that they're just employees of her company. They do not intend to do that in any way. Chan asks her what her intentions are. Then why come now? She explains that Song will be coming soon as he hopes that he can fix him up and remove his ability. Chan is surprised at first, but then he starts to laugh maniacally and asks if she lost her damn mind. What can a fucker that has been relying on his ants for his whole life even do? No matter what this bastard next to her tries, his ability will not stop working. He's been living like this for years, trapped in this tiny room, unable to do a single thing. Even if he was able to do it, he would refuse as he does not want the help of someone who was always favored. He would rather die. The grandma wants to say something, but that's when a large explosion happens from the elevators, as Kijima throws the assistant's body to their feet. Yui can't believe what he is seeing right now, but Kijima says that finally he has eyes on the Wonder Kid. Pyo tries to defend the others, but with one swipe of his arm, he damages him enough to make him stumble. But the attack wasn't aimed at him, it was aimed at the grandma, who is now bleeding profusely as Song continues to fly at very high speeds. He feels an ominous energy, something much more powerful than he has felt ever before, which makes him think of the worst thing. So he rushes even faster, as he must make sure that his grandma is okay. The branch leader is shocked about what is happening now, but that's when the grandma starts to cough, showing that despite her injury, she is still alive. Kijima throws Pyo around like a puppet, but just when he's about to strike him with ease, he allows him to dodge, as he is aiming for the protective glass that is keeping Chan in the enclosure, something that Pyo swiftly notices. That's when two metallic hands pop out of nowhere, and a giant robot grabs Kijima, with the giant robot being operated by Yui, who tells the Bug Reapers to attack. Seeing that this is a perfect opportunity, the branch leader and Pyo both attack with their energized attacks. This stuns him only for a little while, so Yui tells them to take the emergency exit and take the grandma with them as he will stay here and take care of the little freak. All they need to do is get out as fast as possible. With that, the branch leader and Pyo run away with the grandma in hand, Kijima only able to stare at them as they do so. Yui notes that he knew there would be a day when he would suffer the same fate as his teacher, but at least he won't die alone as he will take them out with him. He apologizes to Gashies. In the end, he was not able to fulfill his wish of rescuing his grandson, so he will repent with his death before he can hit the button. However, his hands seemingly stop in the air as Hannah, who was invisible all of this time, has stopped it. Chance slowly starts to get out of his chair and says that he is not going to say this twice. He will no longer be belittled by people like him. He tells Yui that he has gone through a lot to cure him, but this is enough. He deserves a break from all of it. He starts using his powers on him, which slowly starts to transform him into a mosquito insector. Hannah looks at this eagerly as this guy possesses the power to create insectors with ease. This must be why King Kijima saw him all of this time. Pyo and the branch leader get out of the facility, and she says that he should get a car and bolt to a hospital, which makes Pyo ask what she will do. She tells him that she's still combat able, so she will keep these guys here and also called for reinforcements. That's when Hannah flies over them with the transformed Yui, and Chan also gets out, noting that it's been ages since he has seen this beautiful sky. He thought that he would be stuck in that room until he croaks, but yet, thanks to his hero, he was saved. He also can't believe that the facility was hidden under an apartment complex. Truly amazing. The branch leader is on full alert with him, but that's when he notices that she's holding Grandma and asks what happened. She explains that the Grandma was hit by one of the Kijima attacks, which Chan thinks is unfortunate. So since she does not have much time left anyway, how about he lets her spread her wings and fly away into the sky? He shouldn't lie to himself though, as this is revenge. He uses his ability, but the two make it out in time with the attack, hitting a bird that upon impact transforms into a grotesque bee-like beast who instantly starts to attack the two and makes the branch leader drop the Grandma, allowing the beast to try and eat her flesh. That's when a bunch of dark red ants appear, and Song takes the beast head straight off, with both Kijima and Chan noticing that he has similar colors to Jin, his mother. Mi-song crouches down to his Grandma and asks if she's fine with the branch leader, saying that he needs treatment urgently and Pyo apologizing for not being able to protect her at all. Song tells them to get up and leave right now, as he's going to take down Chan in his ability. Chan finally gets that this must be Song and Kijima instantly rushes him, congratulating him for achieving his mother's colors. Song tells him to shut it as he pushes harder and tries to speed blitz him with a few punches, which seems to do nothing to get Kijima, who with one single punch takes down an entire department. Song uses the speedy ability of the ants to become even faster and takes good Kijima by surprise with his attacks, but he says that even with this power he is still a weakling. He is truly a disappointment. He suddenly overpowers him and punches him so hard he goes through several buildings. But Kijima doesn't stop there as he gets to him in an instant and puts him in the ground with a punch, and then starts wailing on him as he says that he really idealized his mother for her actions when he gazed upon her. His only wish was to become a hero like her and save people. However, he could not become a hero, so he will not let him become one either. He will make sure that today is the day he dies. With that, he cuts his head off, but that was not his head. Song has used trickery to get behind him, which Kijima notices, so he tries to punch him again, but Song uses a very familiar sword to Kijima and call out every single one of his dark ants to go and consume Kijima, which they all start doing slowly but surely. They consume Kijima's ants, but they're far too slow to fully take him out just yet, so he says that he will not die from a fake hero, and especially from the son of the woman he admired. He will keep his promise and kill him now. Song tries to move out of the way, but his body isn't listening to him anymore, as he has overused it. Fortunately for him, Chan comes in front of Song and tells him to stop as he has not greeted his brother properly yet. He gently touches Kijima's hand and tells the ants to come back while also thanking him for all that he did and for getting him out of there. He is his true hero, and he will always be. He also pulls out the sword stuck in his chest and remembers it as the Tiger Man sword, which he remembers playing with as a child. He remembers when he made it for him all those years ago. Song asks why he is in such a state. Where was he? Chan looks upon the sword and says that after the explosion, the old man's assistant came and took him away, in this place, where he was kept underground. But he must already know that he suddenly stabs him in the chest and asks how life without him was. Was he happy? He was unhappy. It seems that he also took their mother's strength for himself. How ugly. But now it's time for him to have some fun with it, so he will take all of it, every last bit like he wanted to when they were kids. He starts to consume every single end of his with them, resonating with both of them at the same time. Yi-jin, who is still in the air, wonders where he is. But that's when she notices the gigantic aura coming from the apartment complex, and, afterwards an explosion of gigantic proportions follows. Eventually, Song wakes up in the hospital with Pyo explaining that he was rescued by Yi-jin, who was also there. Song instantly asks where Grandma is, with Pyo taking a while to answer. But he says that they were also caught up in that explosion, and he doesn't remember much after that. So Song tries to get out of bed, but his wounds don't allow him to move much. Pyo explains that the bug reapers and the police have joined together to hunt for the insectors. Even the army is getting involved, but he can't apologize enough for this entire situation as they were completely taken by surprise. The TV in front of them is on the news channel where a report explains that the world is on full alert with the insect attacks and the Korean government has granted the bug reapers full clearance. So now amidst the chaos that shook the entire world, they are the only ones who can fight back. Pyo says that he knows he's shameless, but in a situation like this, they need his strength, and even though his blackness is no longer a part of him, they still need him. Song clenches his fist extremely tightly and says that it doesn't matter. As long as he finds a way to kill the insectors, he will do anything, even if it kills him. Inside his neck hole, one ant still stands, the ant of his mother. Somewhere in Korea, a man with one arm runs away from a group that is hunting humans, with one of the hunters saying that they will all be insects or food soon enough, so they should at least take some pride in that. Eventually, the man is also found, but he musters enough strength to scream out if one hand is not enough for him, with a man brandishing a bug tattoo and noting that it really isn't enough. The armless man asks if they're not on the same team since he is still human. Just what is wrong with him to willingly do something like this? The hunter tells him to not associate him with humans anymore, as from today's sacrifice of 10 people, he will be able to become an insector. So yes, their pathetic lives are worth sacrificing if it means tasting and joy and pleasure of evolution. 2 years ago, after the great explosion at one of the biggest apartment complexes in Seoul, the world completely changed, and the hierarchy was turned on its head. The insectors who were once made to hide their abilities and feast behind closed curtains now roam the streets freely as the apex predators of the world. But it's not enough for them, as they want to reach even higher, where nobody can even dare touch them, the pinnacle of every insector, their ultimate awakening. Inside a worn-down chapel, the hunter presents 10 people to an insector, noting that this should be enough for him to hand over that medicine so that he can finally see what being an insector is like. The insector who seems to be their leader is called Xroll, who starts to count down all of the people that he has gathered. But when he gets to the armless man, he puts his half of a person, so he notes that this isn't enough. The hunter screams at Xroll as he is using this arm as an excuse even though he was the one who waited. So shouldn't this be considered 10 people in total? He demands the medicine right now as soon as he puts his hand on the axe. Xroll takes it clean off and notes that now there are 10 people. The hunter screams out in pain as he says that he never should have trusted a low-ranking bastard like him, but Xroll tells him to relax as he keeps his promises always. He throws him a crystallized version of the parasite drug and tells him to dig in. As this is a privilege given to few, he will now feel the power of being the apex predator. The man starts to crawl over to it as he smiles maniacally with the 2 insectors near him, getting prepared to feast on the flesh that is in front of them. Outside of the chapel, someone says that this was their old neighborhood 6 months ago, but they don't need to think about this right now as they have to go in and complete the mission. As the hunter tries to eat the medicine, a blue thread stops him, and then more appears. The glass window breaks. They're all pulled up by none other than Eugene, who is one of the Dark Reapers. The 2 insectors are very mad about losing their meals, so they try to go at her, but that's when they're shooed up by Seihi, who is another Dark Reaper. The remaining insector says that he heard rumors about these rebels. How dare they interrupt them without even understanding why they do it? He jumps in to kill them, but he is suddenly cut into 2 by none other than Zagana, who says that this necklace really is stuffy. Eugene tells him to unleash his powers if he wants them to go off, which makes Zagana ask if this is a death threat. Seihi notices that they're fighting and joins in, noting that even if he's at 20% of his power, his endurance is amazing. Zagana notes that he has been waiting to fight her, but Eugene tells him not to talk back to the leader of the group. How arrogant can he be? Having had enough of their little talk, Xroll charges in, and they're barely able to dodge his gigantic attack. Eugene tells Seihi that he is on watch duty now. Why didn't he warn them? He notes that he got caught up in their conversation, so it's their fault, but instead of backing away, Zagana enters into a struggle with Xroll. As from the information that they got, this guy has ants in him. He is one of many. Xroll confirms this, but he should not say that so openly, as those who do will suffer a cruel fate. But they're all a bunch of rebellious fools anyway, so he will take it upon himself to take care of them. He pushes Zagana back, who seems confident, but he did not expect this ant bastard to be this strong. Xroll suddenly rushes him with his pincers and manages to impale him. But Seihi comes to the rescue and shoots him a few times before kicking him with a charged-up attack before Xroll can even turn around. Eugene ties him up fully and says that the black ant name shouldn't be taken by some weakling like him as the real black ant is 10 times stronger. Zagana cannot keep his anger inside any longer, as even if he can endure other things, being beaten by a fucking black ant clone is something he cannot stand. Eugene moves out of the way as Zagana charges in with a bit of his transformation revealed with Xroll also charging in with great rage. But that's when Song strikes both of their blades and says that they are changing the plan, as they need to capture this bastard alive. Xroll seems to be excited to see him rather than scared. But Song doesn't give him any opportunity to move even a single inch as he cuts him up with his electric sword. As X-Roll was engulfed in electricity, he notes that he was right all along. Everything is going according to his plans. With that, he falls to the ground with Song explaining to the team. Their boss wants any useful specimen to be caught alive, so they should tie him up and go back to HQ. Zigana calls him over and tells him to never get in his way again, as next time he will really kill him. Song agrees and turns around with Zigana, noting that he can't stand that little punk. But Eugene tells him to be more thankful, as Song isn't trying to show how strong he is or something. The fact is that he exceeded his 20% awakening limit, so if Song had not intervened when he did, he would have been shocked by the collar, and he would be unable to move. Zigana feels like even more of a loser because of this, but that's when Seihi comes around and tells them to come and check something out, as he found a strange pulsating cocoon thing in this room, and it's freaking him out. They all get in the room where they wonder what it can be, as it looks like a pod, but that's when Song feels a presence, and the cocoon starts to move around, with Song telling the others that it's an insect that's inside. So they all get ready to strike it down. As soon as it comes out, the cocoon starts to convulse harder and harder, with Song feeling that the vibration seems similar to him. But who can it be? The cocoon suddenly starts to crack open, and it blinds the team with its blue lights. But the insector comes out without putting up a fight. Song immediately notices who it is and rushes in. Despite Eugene's warning, he grabs her head gently and picks her up. This mysterious insector is none other than Choah, who seems to have run out of luck. After the mission, Song sits in the shower as the blood stains on him wash out, remembering the moment he found Choah, who seemed normal at first, and called out to him. But in a split second, she changed her demeanor and started biting him, which caused her to be dragged back to their HQ in silken chains. Eugene was carrying Song and asked if he's okay. Song says that he's fine, just some slight poison in his system. They should check Choah's condition first. That's when Pyo appeared right in front of him with 2 bodyguards, and said that he must have been through a lot. Song immediately punched him to the ground, much to everyone's surprise, and he desperately looked at him as he promised him something, that he would keep his loved one safe. But not only did he not find his grandmother, he also couldn't protect Choah. What is he fighting for now? The 2 bodyguards tell him to step back as their guns are still in working order, but that's when the group immediately gets on their case, and Zigana tells them to stop if they know what's good for them. Pyo told everyone to stop, and he apologized to Song for his actions, which made Song walk away. The bodyguards picked him up, and he told them to drag the girl and the other insector to the doctor, as he would take care of them. As they walk, Seihi notices that they have brand new weapons inspired by insectors. Quite amazing, but Zigana did not find them as such, more like grotesque. As Pyo put his glasses back on, he noted that his sins are too many for one man to bear, but he still must do it when Eugene and Song go back to check on Choah. The doctor confirms that she has lost her memory of it since they discovered her in a cocoon of sorts. It seems that the transformation into a complete other being has changed not only her body but her mind too. She probably barely has any old memories of any loved ones. He has been researching for a while, but this is the first time he has seen something like this. Suddenly Choah starts to scream out for Song, with the doctor explaining that his name is probably the only thing she remembers, but she probably can't even recognize his voice or his face. Kind of ironic, he must say. After Song finishes his shower, he walks back into his living room where he sees a picture he has with his grandma, something that brings him deep sorrow now. That's when Eugene walks into his house and says that they should eat, as she brought a little something. As they prepare them, Eugene notes that even though he can't eat as much because he has no ants, he should still be able to gulp down 1 bowl of noodles, right? Song agrees but wonders why she brought so many. Are the others coming too? She starts hugging them and says that these are hers, so he shouldn't get any weird ideas, which he confirms that he won't. This housing is protected by a large anti-insector wall that allows the dentists inside to live peacefully. Eugene finishes her meal and can't believe that it's been 6 months already, with both of them remembering when they found Choah inside the facility and comforting her through her hard times after she lost her parents and brother. She didn't want to join the Bug Reapers, but despite being fearful, she wanted to fight for others. She was one of the most skilled members in the entire team, and she was a glimmer of hope inside of this dark and decrepit place. But she didn't want to think that she would disappear and become what she wanted to hunt. Song thinks that it's his fault that he couldn't protect her, but Yi-jin tells him to stop blaming himself, as he could have done nothing in this situation. But it's just like him to take all of the blame. Song notes that once he finds that dirty little brother of his, he will rip his spine out, and then everything will be sorted out. Yi-jin tells him to keep that energy for the team, as they are a pretty good one, but she is going to leave now, so they will see each other tomorrow. As she gets out, she calls him a fool as she sees that he is trying to hold back tears, something he is not very good at, but she can only wish that he stays strong throughout this. Inside the doctor's lab, Choah starts to scream as he experiments on her, with him noting that it's just a genetic test to figure out if she can be useful and what type of bug she is. When the results come back, he has shown a large centipede, which excites him to no end. This marks the conclusion of the third part of this manhwa. The fourth part will be uploaded soon. To show your support for the channel and help speed up the release of recaps for your favorite manhwa, please consider giving a super thanks. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.